برحب بكم طالبات وطلاب جريد 1 بريب في حلقة ماث جديدة تحت رعاية وإشراف وزارة التربية والتعليم. النهاردة هنتكلم عن Pythagoras Theorem وإنها related للرايت triangle. So let's start. Pythagoras Theorem. In the right-angled triangle, the area of a square drawn on the hypotenuse equals sum of the areas of the squares drawn on the other two sides. Okay, let's have this triangle. In triangle ABC, if the measurement of angle B is equal to 90 degrees, so B is a right angle. Then AC squared, which is called hypotenuse, equals AB squared plus BC squared. So the hypotenuse squared equals AB squared plus BC squared. And then to get AC, we have to take the square root of them. So the square root AC is equal to the square root of AB squared plus BC squared. And the AC is called hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is opposite to the right angle in front of it. So look at B. The opposite side to it is called hypotenuse. And the hypotenuse is the longest one on the triangle. So here we have a video from AKB. Let's watch it to be clear for everyone.
There is a group of friends in the escape room, and in order to get out of this room, they need to solve a puzzle. The room guide will help them to solve it. Let's follow his instructions.
Now, use these shapes and Pythagoras Theorem to solve our puzzle. The puzzle is to find the side length of the long side of this right-angle triangle. Pythagoras Theorem? What should we do?
Let's help each other and follow the room guide's instructions. Hey, look! The big square area which originates on the hypotenuse equals the sum of the other two squares' area, which originate on the two other sides.
Well done. Go ahead. And we learned previously that the area of any square equals the side length by itself. Therefore, AC by AC equals AC square, which equals 25 square centimeter. Good job! And you must know that AC squared equals BC squared plus BA squared. So, 9 plus 16 equals 25. If we move the first shape, we will note that Pythagoras Theorem, which states that the right-angle triangle area of the square drawn on the hypotenuse equals the sum of the area of the squares drawn on the other two sides.
Now they are able to get out of the escape room game, and we will have more exercises on Pythagoras Theorem later.
Example, in the opposite figure, ABC is a right-angled triangle at B. So B is 90 degrees. If AB equals 3 centimeters, AB is 3 centimeters, BC equals 4, then AC equals what? How can we do it now? As we said, the hypotenuse is opposite to the right angle. So AC squared equals AB squared plus BC squared. And AB is given, so 3 squared, and BC is given, which is 4, and 4 squared. 3 squared equals 9, and 4 squared equals 16. Then 4 plus 16 equals, 9 plus 16 equals 25. To find AC, we have to take the square root for both sides. Okay? So AC equals the square root of 25, which is 5. So AC equals 5. Let me ask you a question. Why we didn't put positive and negative? Because we have length. We are talking about side length. Okay, so AC equals 5 centimeters. Another example. In the opposite figure, ABC is a right-angled triangle at B. So the hypotenuse in this case is AC. Then AB equals 6 centimeters and AC equals 10 centimeters. Then BC equals what? Now the given one is the hypotenuse and another side. How can we find the BC? Okay, let's apply the Pythagorean theorem. AC squared equals AB squared plus BC squared. Instead of AC, we are going to put 10 squared. Instead of AB, put 6 squared and BC squared as it is. Then 10 squared is 100. 6 squared, 6 times 6 is 36, and BC squared as it is. Then move this 36 to the other side or subtract 36 from both sides. So BC squared equals 64. Then take the square root. So BC equals the square root of 64, which is 8. Now we have hint. If the hypotenuse is given in the question, we need to subtract, as we did in the previous one. Do you remember? Here it is. The hypotenuse is given, which is 10, so we subtract it. Okay? The most common triangles, 3, 5, 3, 4, 5, and the hypotenuse is 5. This is the most common of them. And the other one is 6, 8, 10. So the hypotenuse is 10. So we solved number 1. It was about 3, 4, and we got 5. And the second one, also it was about 6, 8, and 10. So keep that in mind to do it mentally, okay? Of course, you will write your steps, but keep in mind that, okay? Now practice. In the opposite figure, ABC is a right-angled triangle at C. Find the side lengths of AB. The right angle is C, so the hypotenuse is AB because it's opposite to the right angle. So how can we find AB? AB squared equals 12 squared plus 16 squared. 12 squared, it means 12 times 12, 144. 16 squared means 16 times 16, which is 256. Then add them. So we will get AB squared equals 400. And take the square root of it. The square root of 400 is 20. So AB equals 20. By the way, the letter doesn't matter for us. I'm going to focus on the hypotenuse, which is opposite to the right angle. Ignore the letters at all. So here we have C. In front of it, we have AB. So AB is the hypotenuse. Put it on a side alone. So AB squared equals 12 squared plus 16 squared. Okay? Now, we have another exercise on the whiteboard. Here we have this question. In the opposite figure, AD perpendicular on BC. So they are making a right angle. Then BD equals 9 and B or DC equals 16, AC equals 20. Find the length of AD, this one, and the area of the triangle ABC. So first, we need to find the length of AD. How can we find it? We have a right angle. If this one is right, so this one is right, okay? This one is 90. Now we are going to use the Pythagorean theorem on this triangle, this one. Why? Because we need AD. Now, the given one is the hypotenuse, so we need to subtract, okay? So 20 squared equals 16, or 20 squared minus 16 squared here, let me write it again. 20 squared minus 16 squared equals AD squared. As we said, if the hypotenuse is given, so we need to subtract. So 20 squared minus 16 squared equals AD squared. Okay, 20 squared is 400 minus 16 squared, which is 16 times 16, is 256. And here we have AD squared. Let's subtract them. 400 minus 256, 0 minus 6, or 10 minus 6 is 4. And here 9 minus 5 is 4. And then this 3, or yes, 3 minus 2 is 1. 144 equals AD squared. How can we find AD now? We are going to take the square root. So AD, take the square root, equals the square root of 144. So AD equals 12. Why 12? Because 12 times 12 equals 144. That is the first required. So we are going to write here AD equals 12. Now, how can we find the area of ABC, the triangle ABC? To find it, we need to find this one here. The area equals half base times height. What is the base? The base and the height, they are perpendicular in each other. So the base is 16 plus 9. And the height is 12. So the area of the triangle equals half. The base is 16 plus 25. Sorry, 16 plus 9, which is 25. So half times 25 times the height equals 12. Then you can simplify 2 and 12. Let's divide by 2 up and down. Divide by 2 is 1. Divide by 2 equals 6. Then 6 times 25, the final answer is 150. So here we have this one. So the final answer of the area is 150, and the unit should be squared, centimeter squared. Okay, let's have another one. In the opposite figure, the measurement of angle ABD is 90 degrees. And AB is parallel to CD. This AB parallel to CD. Let me change the color. Then AD equals 15, DC equals 5. Find the length of A, or find the length of BC. We need this one. How can we find it? By using Pythagorean theorem. Actually, we have two sides in this triangle. We are going to work on this triangle first. Okay, let me clear this one. Okay. To find it, we are going to use the Pythagorean theorem. The given one is opposite to the 90 degrees, which is hypotenuse. So we need to subtract 15 squared minus 9 squared equals BD squared. Keep that in mind. The hypotenuse opposite to the right angle. So if it is given in the question, we need to subtract. Start from it. 15 squared minus 9 squared equals the other side squared. 15 squared, which is 15 times 15, it is 200. 25 minus 9 squared equals 9 times 9, which is 81. BD squared. Now 5 minus 1 is 4. This 2 minus 8, it becomes 12 minus 8 is 4 and 144. That's all about BD squared. How can we find BD right now? So we are going to take the square root for both sides. So BD equals the square root of 144 is 12. Okay. We find BD equals 12. We still need BC. Here it is. We need BC in the question. How can we find it? Now we have another triangle. Let me make it with blue. This one. How can we find it? I know two sides. The first one, 12. The second one, 5. And the hypotenuse, we don't know it. And how do we know this one is right triangle? Because of the angle B. Okay, B is 90. And they are BA and CD, they are parallel. So the angle BDC is equal to 90 degrees. Now let's apply the Pythagorean theorem now for the blue triangle. So the given one is side and side, leg and leg. The hypotenuse is missing. So here we have BC squared equals 12 squared plus 5 squared. 12 squared equals 144, because 12 times 12 is 124. Then 5 squared is 25. Add them now, and here we have BC squared. 5 plus 4 is 9. 2 plus 4 is 6. And here 169. How can we find BC now? Also take the square root. We are going to take the square root for both sides. So BC equals the square root of 169. By evaluating it, we will get 13. So BC equals 13. That's all about Pythagorean theorem. Now, when you have any triangle, and this one is right angle, which is 90, so the opposite side for it is called hypotenuse. The other two sides are called legs. So this one is leg and leg. And the hypotenuse squared, if it is A, B, C, so the hypotenuse squared, which is AC squared, equals AB squared plus BC squared. That when the hypotenuse is not given. What about it if it is given? I need to subtract to get the leg of them. Okay, and we said the most common triangles are 3, 4, and the hypotenuse is 5. Keep it in mind. And the second one is 6, 8, and 10 centimeters. To be sure, I'm going to erase this 10 and let's evaluate it. Okay, how can we find the hypotenuse here? We need to add 6 squared plus 8 squared. 6 squared is 36 and 8 squared is 64. When you add them, you will get 100. How can we get the hypotenuse now? Take the square root of 100, which is 10. Now let's return back to the previous slide to find the missing side, which is AB. We found AD, it was 12, and now we need to find AB. How can we find AB? Here we have this one. AB, I know two sides from this triangle, which is 9 and 12. And the missing side is hypotenuse on it. So let me make it with black. We need this one. We are talking about this triangle, which is A, B, D, and it is right angled at D. So to get AB, here it is, we need to use the Pythagorean theorem. So AB squared equals 12 squared plus 9 squared. 12 squared is 144, and 9 squared equals 9 times 9, which is 81. Now, to add them, 4 plus 1 is 5, 8 plus 2 is 12, carry 1 up, which is 225. That is AB squared. Now, how can we find AB only? To find AB, we have to take the square root for both sides. So we are going to take the square root for each one of them. So AB equals the square root of 225 is 15. So let me have a look now. We got AD, which is 12, and we got AB, which is 15, and the area of the triangle ABC, half base times height. The base is 16 plus 9, which is 25, and the height is 6. Then multiply the three numbers. Okay, here we have this one. I need to clear now all to focus on them. So AD equals 12 and AB equals 15, and the area is 150 centimeters. Okay, if any number is missing for any triangle, as we said, if the hypotenuse is given, which is 10, and this one is 8, how can we find it? If the hypotenuse is given, so we need to subtract. So 10 squared minus 8 squared equals AB, for example, AB squared. How can we find it? 10 squared is 100 minus 8 squared, 64, equals AB squared. Then 100 minus 64 equals 36. 36 equals AB squared. How can we find the AB? Take the square root for it. So AB equals the square root of 36 equals 6. So, and as we said, this is the most common triangle, 6, 8, 10, and the other one, 3, 4, 5. That's all about the Pythagorean theorem. I hope it was clear for everyone. Thank you so much.